I don't think that I was like born obsessed with encyclopedias,
Right.
but I've always liked Wikipedia a lot.
Some of my favorite finds that Depths of Wikipedia has found. So obviously we have a list of sexually active popes.
In Christy Nome's article, there is a tiny subsection. It's the Meth We're On It campaign. I don't know where Wikipedia will go. Nobody ever really thought that it was going to work. And the fact that I'm a little bit involved, it's like one of the greatest prides of my life.
Last month, hundreds of thousands of volunteer Wikipedia editors came to the agreement to ban all AI content on the platform. This comes on the site's 25th year as an online crowdsourced encyclopedia run entirely by volunteers, one of whom is comedian and writer Annie Rauwerda. She runs the popular Depths of Wikipedia Instagram account and has been embedded in the surprisingly robust Wikipedia community for years. In today's episode, she and I dive into the true depths of Wikipedia and what makes it one of the most human places on the internet. Today we are joined by one of my favorite Instagram follows, Annie Rauwerda. Welcome, Annie.
Hi, thanks for having me. I am Depths of Wikipedia.
I am Depths of Wikipedia. Yes,
exactly. That's
exactly.
my handle.
That is me. Yes, Annie is the brains behind the Instagram account, Depths of Wikipedia, and also author of the upcoming book by the same name. She is an expert in all of the weird and unexpected internet rabbit holes that are out there, which is why I could not be more excited to ask you the question that we ask all first-time guests. What is your first or earliest internet memory?
I don't remember all of these, but I have lots of journals from second, third, fourth grade, and a few entries that I remember. I have a journal entry where it said, I just read the entire Wikipedia article on milk, and I learned so much, and I can't wait to do this again tomorrow, maybe for McDonald's.
Do this again
Those were my two like big rabbit holes where I was like, I need to learn what's really going on there.
I didn't actually realize your Wikipedia-ness went that far back.
I don't think that I was like born obsessed with encyclopedias,
right?
But I've always liked Wikipedia a lot.
Yeah,
I've always edited it a little bit, but I used to just do tiny typos, and now I do a lot more.
When you were looking up the Wikipedia for milk, was there a specific question that like brought you there? Like what about milk?
That I don't remember, but I do remember learning about pasteurization, and it clicked to me. I was young, but I remember being like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
No, and that actually makes you very prepared for sort of today's current conversation.
I know, thank God.
And so this AI decision, it was made via a formal vote of volunteer editors, which I guess reading that sentence out made me realize that I think I've been picturing what the like backstage of Wikipedia looks like all wrong this entire time, like in terms of how it's run. I mean, obviously it's this free open encyclopedia. It was founded in 2001 by Jimmy Wales and Larry Sanger. In terms of the day-to-day, is everyone else just a volunteer? Is there like a Wikipedia staff? Who keeps it running?
Okay, so two things. This decision was English Wikipedia.
Okay.
And this is so, like, I'm being annoying about this,
perfect.
But Wikipedia is really insistent on when you have these votes like this, it's not a straight vote because the discussion, it's really just like about the consensus beyond voting. And the reason is because if you just like tell all of your friends to go vote without being thoughtful, if they're not making any thoughtful contributions, then it doesn't really count as much.
But that, I think in and of itself speaks to the spirit of Wikipedia, that it's more like we came to a shared consensus versus like a vote. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Okay. Love this. Are all those people volunteers?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, the content that you enjoy on Wikipedia, I think everything that makes Wikipedia special is done by volunteers.
Yeah.
There is a foundation, that's who collects the $275 or whatever you donate.
The money. Yeah.
And they do some of the tech infrastructure. They have a legal team. They have a communications team. They do a bunch of like programming. Every year there's an annual conference called Wikimania. It's amazing. There's I don't want to like be sensationalist right now, but there's a little bit more partying and sex than you might imagine. Not a lot, but a little bit more than you would think.
Yeah. And I will say my imagination was pretty low, and so that's interesting.
Okay,
No, I love that, and I love the idea, because there's like, I was trying to look up the number, and I couldn't quite get a consensus. Like, there's thousands of volunteers, right? Is it like hundreds of thousands?
It's impossible to quantify. No, it's not. I mean, it's like you can quantify it, but it just what counts as an active volunteer.
Yeah, that
will determine your number.
Okay.
So I think on English Wikipedia, there's like probably 100,000 people that are like at least a little tiny bit active.
Mm-hmm. And are you one of them? Are you like a volunteer Wikipedia editor?
For sure, yeah. And I'm definitely not the most active. I'm not an administrator, and I'm not on the arbitration committee. But I'm pretty active.
Okay.
You probably read something that I've written.
Okay,
on
that's
Wikipedia.
Crazy. That's a big brag. that like
well,
you just like
you could do it too. You could go home and do it.
This is what's wild about it. So yeah, maybe we set this up. Is that like Wikipedia? Anyone can go in and edit it, and I think it's weird. Like your only limit is yourself, because I'm like, that's so cool, and you're like, you could do it. I'm like, no, I couldn't.
But
so what
you
does
could.
what does it? How does one become one of these volunteers, and how does it, like, let's say someone, I guess the level of involvement is up to them, but like maybe pick someone who's like mid-level involvement. Like how do they get involved, and what does that look like?
So back in the day, you could truly just kind of say whatever, and people would give you a lot of chances. And as Wikipedia has become a bit more, it takes itself more seriously, but also the world has taken it a lot more seriously, in a way that's not Wikipedia didn't choose to be like the fact checker for big tech,
right?
Because big tech will offload its expensive fact checking, and instead of actually like having, I don't know, a thoughtful response to some mention of COVID-19, they'll be like, well, read the Wikipedia article on COVID-19. That's a thing that happens on YouTube and Facebook at least for a long time. So anyway,
but I think, like you said, it's supposed to be more of a shared consensus than like, no,
I mean, there is no such thing as truth. So like that's not the issue.
So let's start with that.
It's more just like Wikipedia it didn't set out to be this like end all be all of knowledge. It didn't want to be like a monopoly on knowledge or anything.
Yeah.
Not that it is, but yeah, I think that people take it seriously. And so as Wikipedia's, as the importance of its quality has gone up, there's been a lot more aggressive anti-vandal like technology infrastructure. Like there are people that sit there and review the recent changes, and if you added something without a source, or if you added something that's like clearly vandalism, like you're like poop pee,
right?
They'll immediately revert you.
Wow.
And it's hard to learn the rules at this point. The rules are so arcane and complicated and contradictory that like you really have to sit there and try to learn how this place works.
Yeah.
So when they say anyone can edit, that's kind of true, but like anyone who's willing to read a bunch of really boring documents and like deal with a gray area that doesn't make sense, and deal with like, I don't know, really unusual, not necessarily intuitive rules, then you can edit.
And it's the scope of like everything in the world, essentially. So do people more so, like you said, the people will sit there and just look at recent changes. So do typically people like figure out like a beat or a niche that they fill, and so like that's what that person has dedicated themselves to? It's like doing changes, but maybe someone else is dedicated to like, I don't know, animals. I don't know. Is that how it works? Yeah.
I mean, there's so many different corners of the project that people like gravitate towards. Yeah, there's content editors who will do really high quality content. Like, there's a guy in London who is retired from a long career in engineering, and now he spends his days writing about like biology and nature-y concepts, and he brings them to featured article, which means it's gone through a level of peer review. Wow, that's pretty intense. And so he'll be one of the peer reviewers. And then there's content editors. There's a lot of administrative work that's behind the scenes, but like checking what everyone else is putting in to make sure it's good. Yeah. There's some like more policing type rules that are important. Like if somebody is constantly doing personal attacks on talk pages, then they need to be dealt with. But how do you do that in a way that's like somewhat just, and like you're giving them a chance to make their argument? So there's a lot of that, like people that act like lawyers. There are people that act like cops. There are people that act like librarians. Like when a new person is like, how do I find the list of sources that are recommended or whatever, this person would be like, okay, here's the link. This is where you find it.
Yeah. There's some, I think you either talked about this.
Typo editors.
Oh, I can
There's
only
the guy
imagine.
In Seattle who has removed comprised of 100,000 times.
Yes, this is exactly what I was going to prompt you to. I can't remember if you said it publicly or like in conversation, but that there is, this guy he's one goal in life, and it is he hates comprised of.
Yeah, and he has an essay explaining why he believes it's agrammatical. That's longer than the U.S. Constitution.
Oh my God.
So you can make your case, but he's definitely thought about it more than you have.
And so he's just basically like tracking when people use like this thing is comprised of, and he goes in and just puts in a different
word.
He
prefers comprises, composed of even. He works at Microsoft full time. This is kind of his weekend activity.
Yeah, his side hustle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we hear from your earliest internet memory that Wikipedia was part of your life at an early age, but how did you get involved? Like, when did this go from just looking up what milk is to, like, I guess becoming, which came first, like becoming an editor or depths of Wikipedia, or did it all kind of happen together?
It definitely happened together. I fixed typos for about as long as I can remember. And I looked at the past contributions on my parents' IP address the last time I was home, and I was surprised to see that I was editing Wikipedia not frequently, but like not infrequently either.
Yeah.
I didn't start doing more serious edits until COVID lockdown, and that's when I started the Instagram account where I post interesting or unusual articles like sexually active popes or a list of stolen and missing moon rocks. So many.
This is so funny because I did mark down some of my favorites, and list of sexually active popes is like up there.
It's a classic. It's crazy that there are more than 30 of them.
Right, it's a huge list. Yeah.
You'd think that that's kind of their one big thing.
Yeah. So we know when you were young, it kind of all started with reading about milk. And then we know that now you have this Depths of Wikipedia account that's like 1.6 million followers. You're working on this book. Before Depths of Wikipedia, I'd love to hear like how you got involved with Wikipedia and becoming this volunteer. What does that look like? Like, walk me through, like, literally you sat down at your computer and then what?
Well, I've always made typo edits, even ones that I don't remember. But what made me more involved was when I started the account and people reached out and said, I'm a Wikipedia editor and I worked on this article that you posted. Thanks for highlighting it. And I saw, and it was kind of my first epiphany that, wow, this is really made by normal people like you and me. I think that's what pushed me to be a little bit more involved.
Yeah.
I can't remember the first time I like sat down and really tried to add something of substance or remove something of substance. But I remember, especially early on, like I was just a little bit nervous. I didn't want to do something wrong. There's so many rules. It's a little bit scary. The vibe is not super, hey, what's going on? Exclamation point, smiley face. Like it's not, there's not a lot of that. It's kind of, when you look at the talk pages, the tone, it harkens back to like a social media, like hacker style internet,
they're like doing telegrams, like this is incorrect, stop.
Yeah, I mean, right. It's like there's kind of a gruffness. Yeah. But people aren't being mean. It's just how they're
just efficient.
You just have to remember that.
Yeah.
And if you have questions, you can ask on a place called the Tea House. That's a place where you can ask questions if you're new, and they'll be nice there.
Yeah. I don't think ICYMI has a Wikipedia yet. But like how do you start one for something?
People ask about this a lot. People really want there to be articles about themselves.
Yes, yeah.
Wikipedia determines notability, not by whether you matter inherently.
Yeah.
Everyone's beautiful. but just are there solid sources that can be cited about this topic? And is it not already covered by a different article?
Yeah.
So really you just have to have, like, there's no set number, but like if you have like 5 to 10 different independent sources that are secondary, so it can't be your own website. You can't be citing like a podcast where you gave an interview, because people lie about themselves a lot, it turns out.
Yeah.
And you can't cite, like, if you make your own Substack post, you can't cite that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if there's things in like newspapers, radio, especially places that have some level of fact checking, then you might qualify.
And so do you like submit it?
And by you shouldn't be writing an article about yourself.
Oh, right, yes.
But like if you want to write about some topic that's missing,
then you can kind of go in. Is there like an approval process?
It depends. So that's what I always recommend to people. There's a thing called articles for creation, where you submit it and then a reviewer will go through and will either reject it but tell you exactly why. Well, there's not always as much specificity as perhaps you want, but or will accept it.
Yeah.
But if you have a certain number of edits to your name, and it's not even a lot. I think you have to have made 10 edits or something like that. Then you can just put a page right up, and it'll be live at least for some amount of time. But then if it's not really up to snuff, someone will delete it or draftify it. They'll put it back in draft space.
I want to illustrate, like, okay, in theoretically, how would like updating one work? And so there's this this Slate piece written by Dan Coyce, former Slate writer, and it is just titled "A Totally Normal Interview" with author Emily St. John Mandel. And the interview just seems kind of like an out of nowhere Q&A back and forth, but really the purpose of it was to establish in an article that Emily St. John Mandel was divorced, because I guess it still said that she was married on Wikipedia.
And she felt weird meeting her new partner's family.
Oh, because it said that she was married.
When it said publicly that she was married.
Yeah.
So she did a tweet, and it got a lot of traction, and Slate published the article, and like that's great. However, I just feel like I need to say that if there's some like big thing in your personal life that's really wrong and you want it to be changed, you don't have to find a publication. Like if it's something that's like that type of personal life detail, there's a way you can email Wikipedians. That is one way that you can do it. You can go on the talk page and say, hey, I am this person. Yeah. But so you don't have to. You don't have to go to such elaborate. Right. Yeah. It's ideally you don't have to do that, but it is great that. Yeah. It's funny that it happened. No, it is funny. And so let's say like maybe you are someone who loves Emily St. John Mandel. You like to keep tabs on her page, or like you like to update it. And so like if you're a volunteer, you see this interview. Do you just go in and you update it and add it as a source? Is that basically what a volunteer editor does? If anything in the world happens that like is an update to some topic, you can just go in the article. You just go in and add a sentence that's like Emily St. John Mandel is divorced. Yeah, you don't have to be an expert in you do not have to be an expert in rice pudding to write the article on rice pudding. You just need to find like really solid sources. Yeah, and then read them. Then you put it in there. And then there's those people who they dedicate their time to seeing the new updates, and they kind of make sure that it's like if there was anything wrong with it, they would presumably spot it and remove it, correct? That's the idea. Yeah. Sometimes people that are doing the recent changes patrol get a little trigger happy. So maybe you notice like, wait, I added this thing and it was totally legit. Yeah. But they reverted me. Why? Sometimes it's a false positive. Yeah. Because sometimes it's like a 19-year-old boy sitting at his computer. Yeah. Humans are fallible. Yeah. Do you have something that like makes something stick out to you as like, what do you when you're finding like something that is depths of Wikipedia worthy? Is there like, what do you tend to hit on? Do you notice a theme? It's really hard to spell it out. Mm-hmm. I think there's definitely some humor in like the contrast between high and low. Yeah. In like, it's this dry, encyclopedic, academic style writing. Yeah. But then often the content is just like super wacky and funny and goofy and like lowbrow, and I think that contrast is often funny. But then at the same time, I feel like the opposite occasionally happens, where like there's a really really serious topic, but then Wikipedia, the way Wikipedia describes the topic, or maybe like something about the pictures that are chosen. Yeah. Like sometimes the topic is really serious, but then Wikipedia's treatment of it makes it so much funnier. Yeah, yeah. And then you mentioned Wikimania? Is that Wikimania? That's the big conference. Big conference. Yeah. Paris 2026. Oh my God! It's like the Olympics with Wikipedia, essentially. See, but it's not a competition, but like sort of. Yes. Yeah. I mean, in the sense that like. Yeah, a lot of people from all over the world join together, and it's a big thing. Yeah, have you gone to like all of them? Not all of them. They started probably 20 years ago. Oh, so but I would love if you were there being like, I looked at milk. If only I were like 3 years old. Yeah. I have been to, so there was one in Singapore that I went to a couple years ago, and then it was Katowice, Poland. I have a tote bag in the entryway with my thing from there. And then it was Kenya last year, and then I'm going to the Paris one. That's amazing. How would you describe the community? Like, who are the people at these gatherings? Obviously, I can see you, and you're pulling off a neck scarf, amazing, and but we all wear neck scarves. Yeah, yeah, it's like required. It's like Survivor. Yes, yeah. Who are these volunteer editors? Who are the people at the events? How would you paint them? So there's the data we have on Wikipedia editors is really not amazing because you can be anonymous when you edit, and many people do. Yeah. And so we really just have our best guesses based on people that fill out the survey. But I don't know. When it's the default to be anonymous,
Yeah.
I don't always even trust the way that people would fill out demographics info.
Yeah.
But based on best guesses, it's like 80-ish% male. People are working on it.
Yeah,
I also
yeah.
don't know if that's even real. There's a lot of women that will be like genderless.
Yeah. That's super interesting.
And I think I do that. I don't even remember.
Yeah, you're like, wait.
I might do that. And so yeah, it's a mix. I would say it's kind of bimodal. Like when you look at the ages, there's a lot of young people, students. I think that there's an interesting thing that happens where sometimes there are these precocious kids who are like 16 and they can think really deeply about things and they have all these thoughts and they want to help, but nobody will take them seriously in the real world. But then on Wikipedia, they don't have to say how old they are.
Right.
And there are some of them that do these really in-depth, like just intense intellectual, like, I don't know, write-ups of things. There's this one, now he's in college, but when he was in high school, he would write about Walt Whitman and local upstate New York history.
Wow.
And he would have his mom drive him to like little like local history centers of certain towns if he needed a source that wasn't online.
God.
And they would go on these little road trips together.
That's so sweet.
And yeah, it's amazing. And nobody would have known that he was in high school.
Yeah.
Until he came to a conference and everyone was like, oh, his online persona was really giving like 55-year-old professor.
That's amazing. And then we were, I guess not catfished, but a similar kind of like, oh my gosh.
Right.
Yeah. That's so funny.
But yeah, so there's also a lot of retirees.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people in the middle too. Yeah. I just would say that it's like, those are the biggest.
Yeah. And like you said, it gets wilder than we would think. And then one of the instances, I don't know if this was actually the same type of event, but it was October of last year at a conference, the Wiki World's Fair, and the two audience members like stopped a gunman.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It was the North America conference, which happens every year, and that one's in some ways it's more exciting to me than Wikimania, because Wikimania you get people from all the different language Wikipedias.
Yeah.
Whereas the North American Wiki Conference, that one is mostly English Wikipedia, although there's some French and Spanish.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a really fun event, and it was really sad the first morning, right at during this first speech, there was a gunman who was upset he kind of had his own set of reasons for being upset and at Wikipedia administrators.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is like, I don't know if you have content warning type things.
No, I know what the reason is, and I'm like, we're dancing around it.
Yeah, basically he was passionate about his identity, which he describes as non-offending pedophile.
Yeah.
And because there is a policy on Wikipedia that if you self-identify as a pedophile on your profile, you cannot edit.
Yeah.
And so he came with a gun, and it was unclear what his intentions were, because two kind of, I would say, stalwarts of the community, two long-timers who've been there forever, who like always help organize things. They were sitting in the front row, and before he even had the gun all the way up, they tackled him and pried the gun away from his hands. And there's a Wikipedian named Jake Orlowitz. So those two people were Andrew Lee, who wrote a book about Wikipedia in 2011, and then Richard Nipel, who has been one of the heads of Wikimedia New York City for years, I think probably since it started. And then another guy named Jake Orlowitz, who was in town, he has a long history of like mental health advocacy. And so he went up and kind of talked the guy down. It was a very beautiful scene. Yeah. There were people, it was not chaos. The New York Post, I think, called it a scene of chaos or something. But in reality, it was very orderly. Yeah. When you have a room full of people that has kind of self-selected for like their interest in volunteering, especially when it's just like totally not necessary, it's kind of amazing to see what happens in a crisis like that.
No, the photo in the New York Times is like actually kind of weirdly tender, and so that tracks with what you're saying. So it is a very unique place, and like you said, it's been around for so long. Like I think it's been 25 years, I think.
It's the 25th birthday this year.
We did an episode a little bit ago about Craigslist and the people who still use it, and one of the most striking things about Craigslist is that it's like exactly the same as when it first came out. Has Wikipedia, I know when we'll talk a bit about this, I know the reputation of it has changed and people's view of it, but like the platform itself, has it changed much in 25 years?
Okay, so just so you know, Craig Newmark, the Craigslist guy, he was one of the speakers at this Wiki conference.
Oh my God!
In the fall, and so the day after the entire conference day after the shooting had happened was canceled, and we just did other things.
Yeah.
Because there was NYPD investigations happening on the campus and stuff. But then the next morning, the very first thing up after the gunman was me interviewing Craig. And so it was a lot of pressure because I didn't know how to be, I don't know.
Yeah, to be the sort of palate cleanser after all that.
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
It does not surprise me that there is overlap between Craigslist and Wikipedia.
Craig's a big supporter of Wikipedia. He's wonderful. Yeah, I love Craigslist. I also love Wikipedia. And the platform has definitely changed in certain ways that Wikipedia editors will like jump to tell you about.
Yes.
Like there's a lot more intense anti-vandal like action, and just like every rule matters a lot more. People will kind of get mad at you if you don't use sources, whereas back in the day you could just do whatever because it started out with no rules at all.
Yeah.
So in those ways the culture has changed. But the actual layout of the site looks pretty similar to how it looked at the start. There have been updates of the skin, but that's always really controversial. Right. I think that the community is really resistant to a lot of the changes, to a lot of like the modernization type things that the foundation often pushes.
Yeah, I feel like the way that people would be like, bring back the old Facebook on Facebook. I imagine that's a similar type of solidarity that would happen if Wikipedia ever like dramatically changed.
Well, you can change the skin if you want. If you have an account, you can go in preferences and then
it's like MySpace.
Yeah, and if you want it to look like it did in 2008, you just press a button.
Oh, that's fun. I love stuff like that. Well, and so we talk about like the culture has changed inward, but also I think the reputation around it, because I'm sure this comes up with you a lot, that like millennials at the very least in school were always told I better not see you on Wikipedia when you're researching this. It was like very much considered really unreliable. But I think now, and we could talk about how the context has changed this, but like it requires direct links to like references and sources. And like you said, they've gotten really stringent about enforcing that. I think many people would now consider it like a more reliable, at least starting point for research online. Why do you think, it's funny, my original question is, why do you think it initially had such an untrustworthy reputation? But it sounds like it was perhaps earned in the beginning because there were no rules.
Yeah, it definitely is far more trustworthy than it used to be. But still, I would never tell someone to cite it.
Yeah.
If you're doing a research paper, don't cite a tertiary source ever.
Yeah.
If you want to cite what Wikipedia cites, you could do that. But,
that's the best thing to do.
And you should be checking things. If you read something and you're not sure what's up, definitely check the citation. And if it doesn't match up, like you can fix it. Or if you're too scared to fix it, just go on the talk page and say, I don't think this lines up.
Yeah. I think like people who like spend their day waiting for like that assignment to go and fix. Yeah. I think, again, it reminds me of Craigslist a little bit, which also had like a seedy reputation. And in both of those cases, it was, I think, very much a marker of the time where the idea was like, oh, if humans are running this and it's just like we're just relying on the trustworthiness of humans, we can't trust it. It must be really seedy. And I would say now, I think the allure of both of these platforms is the opposite, that we now trust humans who are in charge of things more than like bots that are running things. And I know you mentioned that Wikipedia has like a lot of rules that it sounds like you need to kind of figure out on the go, but they do have like these core content policies, and one is neutral point of view, 2 is verifiability, which is like, I think, citing sources, and then 3, no original resource, like you need to be citing something else. Yeah, like not.
Yeah, you can't be like, I swear it's raining right now.
Right.
There's a snow in Florida article, and there's a guy that always tries to update it to say it is currently snowing in Florida whenever it's snowing in Florida, but you need a citation.
Right. Yeah. It's like it can't just.
I don't think he's lying, but it's like no verifiability.
It's so funny. The first flake falls and he's like running to his computer.
And those are his only. I'm saying he. I have no idea who this person is, but that's pretty much the only edits from this account.
See, I love all these people, no matter how involved they are. But so these 3 sort of core content policies are kind of the basis of the consensus of this Wikipedia AI ban. But I guess it also comes after the use of AI has caused issues for the site. I don't know if there's any that like come to mind for you.
So many. One thing is that a lot of people will use AI to write Wikipedia articles. And so it just, there's a lot more administrative work that's required in vetting new articles, when people who have no idea what the site is and how it works are able to make an article that looks somewhat kind of plausible. Back in the day, it would take a long time to even make it look like it could potentially be real, and now it's a lot quicker, and so there's just an onslaught of slop that Wikipedia editors have to push out. Yeah. And it's not a perfect thing. Like, there's still slop that slips in all the time. One other thing that's kind of annoying is that a lot of the LLMs have these bots that will scrape the site.
Yes, like I was
crazy.
looking at this.
And the server, like, it's just a big burden on the servers.
Yes, yeah.
And that's something that Wikipedia pays for. And Wikipedia is an operation. It has money. It has an endowment. Like, it can afford higher server costs. Yeah. But there are a lot of smaller websites or even smaller wikis for which that's not necessarily the case. Yeah. So that's another thing. And then this is partially just because of the way that Google has changed its search results, but there's less traffic. It's not down dramatically, but I think from 2024 to 2025, the estimate, which it's hard to really separate like the bots from humans, but the estimate is that it's down, I think, 9% or something like that. Yeah. And so people at the foundation are always worried about some shit, but they're worried that there won't be as much Wikipedia name recognition and not as much new donors, not as many new donors, and not as many new editors. Yeah. And the new editors, to me, is the biggest concern because money. There's a lot of money in the world, and you can find it in a lot of places. But Wikipedia's most valuable resource is human effort. Yeah, that's the limiting factor.
Yeah, no. So the scraping, the bots thing was really interesting. This was in April 2025 in Ars Technica that the bots that were scraping Wikipedia and Wikipedia Commons consumed 50% of like the server bandwidth, which, like you said, is like a huge strain on it. There was also, I know, an issue where people were using AI to translate articles, and it was adding hallucinations, which is just when AI goes rogue. That's according to 404 Media. And then, of course, there was the launch of Grokpedia, which is like the right answer to the claim that like Wikipedia is biased somehow.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess Wikipedia is biased all the time. There are articles that you'll find that are horrifically biased. Yeah. And usually what I say is just like, oh my God, we'll fix them. Fix them then. Yeah. And there were certain figures on the right. The Grokpedia is an Elon Musk thing. Yes. But there's a couple other people like Tucker Carlson and one of the, he calls himself a co-founder. Whether he's a founder or co-founder is like a whole thing. But Larry Sanger was involved with the project for the first year. I think it was just under a year after Wikipedia started when he was let go because of the .com bust. There was no more money. But yeah, so he was involved for the very first year, and since then he has moved pretty far to the right politically. Interesting. And he has, I would say, a certain part of his career since then has been being a public Wikipedia critic. And so, yeah, so he got a lot of press during the whole Grokpedia news cycle. But yeah, Elon Musk calls it Wokepedia. There's some criticism that is, the most legitimate criticism, in my opinion, is there's a list of sources that Wikipedia editors have decided are suitable or medium or not suitable. Some people say that those source classifications are biased. Yeah. And it's just a really hard thing to do.
Well, that's like what makes it, is it like there's maybe is not a hard line or a hard category for certain things, and Wikipedia is kind of a testament to this idea that you brought up, like of consensus, where it's like we all come together to sort of agree on something. And so when we think of, that's not how really AI works. Like you said, it could theoretically somewhat successfully replicate a Wikipedia page. Why is it important that Wikipedia remains run by humans? You mentioned like the most important thing is that new editors keep coming in.
Well, I'm sure that there is a world where there's an online encyclopedia that incorporates AI to some extent that is maybe even more successful than Wikipedia. But I do think that without human involvement and without humans like wearing the pants, I would struggle. I wouldn't put faith in an AI encyclopedia. A big thing about Wikipedia that's very different from most like consumer chatbots is that you know exactly why every decision was made. Sometimes you have to read 100,000 words to determine to read like why exactly people classified Fox News as okay for most topics except for science and national politics or something like that. I might be getting this wrong. But like you can see the arguments that were made on both sides. You can see exactly why they came to this conclusion. And if you have problems with it, you can weigh in. Sometimes, I mean, whereas AI, it's opaque. You don't know exactly why they're giving you the answer that they're giving you. And that's one thing that I think is the most valuable. Wikipedia is not owned by some corporation that's going to harvest your data or hand it over to the cops or without good cause. Right. It's run by people who are genuinely, like, there is no ulterior motive, at least for most of the people that have been actively contributing constructively for a long time. It's just to provide information to more people, and that makes it far more trustworthy than some of the ones that are owned by evil big tech overlords.
No, absolutely. And I think the part that's very human is even like, because obviously Wikipedia is covering the basics of like, this is who this person is and this is what this movie is about. Like, I love the people who turn to Wikipedia because they're scared of watching scary movies, so they read the Wikipedia for it. Like, there's so many habits that wouldn't exist. Like, that's a very human habit. Like, a bot couldn't recreate that. And I also just think the things that we find notable that we then document on Wikipedia. I mean, this is what your account is kind of dedicated to. This is basically me circling to some of my favorite finds that Depths of Wikipedia has found. So obviously we have a list of sexually active popes. I was just going through one I love. This is just an image, but it is butterfly drinking from the tears of a turtle.
Yeah, that's a thing that they do.
And it's like, that's beautiful, a beautiful sentence, a beautiful thing to highlight. And then the other one I really love, just from your recent posts, is the infinite monkey theorem, which I believe is testing this idea that if you gave a bunch of monkeys a typewriter, one would write Shakespeare, like inevitably, like through the law of like randomization, or that like there would be some version of infinite monkeys that write Shakespeare. But this is what you posted, that this was back in 2023, but that 21 years ago that day, they had actually tested this theorem.
Yeah, there was a small research team in the UK.
Yes, and they were giving £2,000 to study the literary output of real monkeys. Not only did the monkeys produce nothing but 5 total pages, largely consisting of the letter S, the lead male began striking the keyboard with a stone, and other monkeys followed by soiling it. That's beautiful.
It is.
Like, just S, and then hitting with a stone and presumably pooping on it.
And they publish what the monkeys came up with. And I love the end because they have an about the authors page and they list all the monkeys. It's so cute. I reached out to one of the researchers and I asked him about, I think at one point during, like, this study was done in the aughts.
Yeah.
But at one point they said in an interview that they wanted to try it out with different species or something like that. Yeah. So I reached out to see whatever came of it, and he was like, no, I do different things now.
I wonder what the other species I would choose is. I feel like birds. I would like if we put birds, I just feel like they could peck out a maybe Shakespeare.
Maybe they could learn how to write.
Yeah.
Well, and then infinite monkey theorem is always such a, I mean, people use it as an analogy for Wikipedia a lot of the time. Because what are we if not infinite
monkeys? Oh my God, that's like the tagline.
We are apes.
We are apes. Do you have, I know this is something you also probably get asked a lot, but I just find these finds so funny. What are some of your favorite like things that you found on Wikipedia, even if it's milk?
Oh boy. See, that's like asking my favorite child.
I know.
I love them all. I think that there are a lot of articles about presidential pets that are
I love that
are written with extensive detail and love. I don't know. There are so many things that I like. There's the big list of unusual deaths, which is fun.
Oh, and then it says
list of unusual articles.
I like the one that's list of unusual deaths, and then like kind of the prompt underneath it is like add to this list, which can read like it's in Wikipedia is telling you to kill some more people in unusual ways.
Yeah, so there used to be, sorry, I know I hate to like kill every comment with a backstory, but
no, it's
that
great.
used to be a tag that was on the top of articles. This list is incomplete. You can help by expanding it.
Yes.
But it was let me think. It was the summer of 2022 when it was edited. It was altered. My friend Sam was part of the reason. But now I think it says this list is incomplete, you can help by adding you can help by adding well-sourced
right. They're like
missing items.
within,
Something like that,
within reason of not killing people.
Yeah.
No, I love the little that you have an anecdote, because each time I like make a reference, I'm like, you post so much, like maybe this isn't, you don't even remember, and then it's like, not only do you remember, you have like all the facts to it, which is like,
not every fact check me. There's a citation needed after
Yeah.
everything I say out of my mouth. But yeah, okay, other articles that are fun. The staff ate it later is a caption shown when food appears in a Japanese TV program to indicate that it was not thrown away after filming.
That's great.
Which is great.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
If you've ever seen, there's a kind of classic 1970s poster of a cat hanging.
Oh, hang in there.
And it's hang in there, baby. And I learned that the guy that took that photo, Victor Baldwin, he made approximately $700,000 from sales of the posters, much of which went to settle his divorce, which he was apparently happy to spend it on. Hang in there, baby.
Whoa.
Isn't that beautiful?
That's like I feel like captured a rare window of a viral image you could monetize in like the fact that he made $700,000 from hang in there. Yeah, again, I mean, I keep saying beautiful, but like this is exactly what makes Wikipedia so great, is that every single one of these anecdotes is just the most like bizarrely, ridiculously, but also like sweetly human thing, or cat thing, hang in there.
I do think that I mean, there's so many different ways that you could like curate interesting Wikipedia articles, and I'm just one person, but I love things with a lot of heart.
Yeah.
I also like, Bookland is a fictitious country that exists solely in the European article number barcode system, EANs. So librarians and booksellers probably know what that is, but it's the prefix of published books regardless of their country of origin.
Wow. I want to be from Bookland.
I do too. I actually, you know what? I don't really know the details of why Bookland exists and why it matters. I just like that it exists.
Yes. And yeah,
Bookland.
That's the
I like that they named it Bookland.
Yeah.
In Christy Nome's article, there is a tiny subsection about something that occurred when she was governor. It's the Meth We're On It campaign. On November 18, 2019, Nome released a meth awareness campaign named Meth, We're On It. The campaign was widely mocked, and Nome was criticized for spending $449,000 of public funds while hiring out-of-state advertising agency from Minnesota to lead the project.
And my first thought when you said like 400,000, I was like, wow, still not as much as hang in there, cat.
Right. Yeah, you know what?
That's my new barometer for everything.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not even that much money. I should buy a house.
Right.
Perfect. It's cheap.
So Wikipedia is one of these like very human spaces online, and like I feel like you've mentioned so many different examples where I'm like, that is such a beautiful thing that is so uniquely human. I want to hear, as someone who's so passionate about this, like, what is the value in that in Wikipedia's mission? Like, why does it feel so important?
Of the top 10 or 15 websites on the internet, I believe that Wikipedia is the last one that's not completely enshittified.
Yeah.
It's not incorporating AI summaries. It's a really quick website. It's very light. You can you can still surf the web because you're not bogged down by all these cookies and trackers and like bizarre video ads on the side, or whatever.
Yeah.
It feels kind of singular in that way. And when you look a little bit behind the scenes, you just scratch below the surface just a smidge, you see how much human energy has gone into every little thing that you're enjoying. And in some ways, it's the reason I get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
I struggle to have hope when I look at many of the people that are in power right now, whether it's people that are CEOs of companies that have a lot of sway or people in political power. I sometimes get sad. Yeah. But then I look at ordinary people and how wonderful they can be, and sometimes how persnickety and annoying and utterly human they can be, and it makes me feel like most people are at least okay. And we have this temple, I suppose, like to knowledge that has been built, and I think of it as it's a triumph of humanity. Yeah. And I don't know where Wikipedia will go. Nobody ever really thought that it was going to work, but the fact that it has become what it has is, and the fact that I'm a little bit involved, it's like one of the greatest prides of my life.